How much do doctors make in the US? It's actually a lot of money. In this video, I'll show you how much do physicians and residents in the US make across different specialties. I'll also disclose my salary and how much of it gets taken out for taxes each year. Now let's start with the physician's salary. You'll find a big discrepancy between the different reports on how much physicians make in the US. And I've looked at multiple reports. I think the one by Doximity is the most accurate, but you have to remember that these numbers are based on what people answered in a survey. They're not numbers provided by the state or the employers about the exact salaries of the physicians. So always take these reports with a grain of salt. So let's look at the top 20 specialties in regards to annual compensation. Look at neurosurgery, guys. It's crazy. $788,000, almost $800,000 a year. And this is the average. I'm sure a lot of neurosurgeons make more than that. But you also have to consider the competitiveness of the specialty, how long the training is, which is 7 years, the workload after they finish residency, the amount of call they take. So although it's a lot of money, but they also work a lot. Thoracic surgery comes next, $700,000. Orthopedic surgery, $624,000, and plastic surgery is fourth at $571,000. And then you can see the full list: vascular surgery, OMFS, radiation oncology, cardiology at around $500,000, urology, radiology, GIs around also $500,000. As you can notice, although there are some internal medicine specialties like cardiology and GI, the majority of these specialties, the most money making, are actually surgical specialties. And also you have to consider how much are these physicians working. So if a GI physician is working maybe 6-7 hours a day and making $500,000, it might be much better than working 12 hours a day and making $600K, which is only additional $100K. So this is just average numbers. There are so many details that go into that and decide the actual final salary, which is how many hours do you work a day, how many calls do you take, how many nights you're working, vacation, complexity of procedures. All these factors play a role. Also, a lot of reports are not clear regarding the term compensation. Are we referring to the salary or the overall compensation including bonuses? Because a lot of physicians get paid a base salary, but their actual income is much more than that. Sometimes it's double or triple because of the bonus. If they cross a certain number of surgeries, they get a percentage of each surgery, or if they cross a certain number of patients, they take a different compensation model than the salary. So always keep an eye when you're reading these reports whether this is only the salary or it includes also the bonuses and all the other things that come with the overall compensation. Now let's look at lowest paid specialties, and pediatric endocrinology comes lowest at $218,000. And you can see the majority of the lowest compensated specialties are actually pediatric specialties. You can see here internal medicine, which is probably referring to a hospitalist, is around $300K, which is actually really good because a lot of hospitalists work 1 week and they take the other week off. So that's why I'm saying consider all the factors when deciding on the salary, because if you're working only half of the year and you're making $300K, some might find that much more attractive than making $500K and working triple the time. Now let's talk about resident salaries. As you can see in this report by Medscape, the average salary of a resident in the US is around $64,200, and the salary increases as you advance in your training. So if you start as an intern, first year resident, it's around $58,700, and then it increases around $2,000 each year. I also want to show you the AAMC report regarding resident and fellow salaries, which is based on stipends as of July 1st, 2022. You can see here the years of training from 1 to 8. Here you can see the median, the 25th percentile, and the 75th percentile. It's very similar to the number we saw there. This is slightly higher. It's around $60,000 for a first year resident, and then it increases around $2,000 each year until it reaches around $81,000 for a PGY 8. And you might ask, how can you be PGY 8? Well, if you do 3 years of internal medicine and 3 years of cardiology fellowship and then 2 years of another sub-fellowship, you're reaching PGY 8. Or if you do general surgery and then the plastic surgery fellowship, you're doing 5 plus 3, that's 8 years of training. And you might ask, well, that's the median, but why there is 25th percentile and 75th percentile? Well, because the numbers are not the same across programs. In some states or some cities, the salaries are much higher because the cities are more expensive, so they need to adjust for that, so they give the residents a higher salary, such as New York. It's much more expensive than living in Wisconsin, so that's why you would see the salaries in New York higher than Wisconsin. So that takes us to the second table I want to show you here, which is under tab 4, and it shows you the compensation by year in each region. So this is the Northeast, it's around $66,000 $56,000 as a first year resident. The Southern, it's $58,000. It's almost $8,000 less than the Northeast. Central, it's around $60,000, around $6,000 less than the Northeast. Western, it's around $64,000. So as you can see, the Northeast is much higher salary. However, it's not higher for no reason, because the Northeast is much more expensive to live in. So that's why they increase the salary to allow residents to afford living in these expensive cities. Now, after we saw the big picture and the general numbers, I want to take you through my salary to give you an idea of how much of it is left after cutting all the taxes. So my salary as a second year plastic surgery resident starts with $62,400 a year. Out of that, $5,300 went to the federal income tax. And this is a tax that everyone who makes certain income in the US has to pay regardless of where they live. In the US, the federal income tax is based on a tax bracket. So if you're making below a certain amount, you pay a certain percentage. If you go above that amount, you pay a different percentage, and so on. The percentage starts from 10% and goes up to 37%. Another 6.2%, which is equivalent to $3,868, went to Social Security, which is mainly used to give you a salary once you retire. 1.45%, which was around $904, went to Medicare, which is the program that funds healthcare coverage for patients over 65. The cuts stop here in a lot of US states which don't have state and local tax. But unfortunately, in the state of Pennsylvania, you have to pay a state tax and a city tax. To give you an example, when I was in Texas as a research fellow, I did not have to pay any city tax or any state tax. So I just pay the federal income tax, Social Security, and Medicare. But in other states, including Pennsylvania, you have to pay an additional tax for the state and the city that you live in. In the state of Pennsylvania, the state tax is 3.07%, which was around $1,914 throughout the year. The tax for the city of Pittsburgh was 3%, which came to around $1,871. So I started with $62,400, and after cutting all these taxes, I ended up with $48,543, which came up to around $4,000 a month. Not bad, right? I'm sure a lot of you say, oh my gosh, that's amazing, that's a lot of money. However, you have to consider that living in the US is also very expensive. In the majority of US cities, you're spending around $2,000 just for the rent, and you have to think about all the other expenses: food, utilities, phone, internet, parking, insurance, and so many others. So I would say a resident salary is good enough for one person to live a decent life, but it's definitely not the salary for a luxury life or to support a big family. Now I would like to drop in the comments below how much is your salary as a resident in your home country. And by the way, if you would like to get a free template of a CV, drop your email in the link below and you will get that CV for free. If you find any value in this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell sign so you get notified whenever I post future videos on my YouTube channel. If you need any help with research or match related services or USMLE tutoring, I'll leave the link for all the services we provide in the description below. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our email, info@thematchguy.com. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and good luck on your journey.